Everyone, Nat 1995 here with a new chapter for Attack on Prime. I do hope you enjoy this video, and remember, I do not own the Transformers Prime or the Attack on Titan series or this story. I give full credit to its author melishade on Wattpad and fanfiction.net. Now on to the story. Battle of Trost. Jean could find this situation he was in pretty awkward. Well, sure, having girl problems was one, specifically Mikasa, but being in the hands of a giant sentient metal titan was one of the most awkward situations he has ever been in. He was in one hand with Armin, while Mikasa was holding Eren in the other hand. Reiner, Bertholdt, and Annie were on the Titan's, or Optimus' shoulders as he made his way towards the wall. There was silence as Optimus walked towards the wall carefully, avoiding the Titans in the area. Suddenly, Reiner, being the joking person he is, decides to make a remark to break the silence. "It's a pretty nice view from up here," he remarked. Jean grew a tick mark. "Is this really the time?" Jean demanded. "We just saw Eren emerge from a Titan. And out of all the things you could say is that, it's a pretty nice view from up here." Reiner just shrugged as he tried to keep a steady position on Optimus' shoulder. Armin looked over towards the wall to see a lift being lowered down. "Over there," Armin told Optimus as he pointed in that direction. Optimus saw the lift and walked over to it. He could see the people at the top of the wall looking down at him with a terrified face. Optimus simply ignored the fact and lifted Jean and Armin to the lift. They hopped onto the lift. As Optimus lifted Mikasa and Eren to the lift as well, Jean and Armin helped Eren onto the lift while Optimus gestured for Reiner, Bertholdt, and Annie to jump into his hands. They carefully jumped into his hand as he moved his hand towards the lift. The three jumped onto the lift before they were all pulled up towards the top of the wall. "Optimus," Armin called out. "What about you?" "I will fight off as many Titans as I can," Optimus answered. Armin nodded his head in understanding as they were all at the top of the wall, before they were taken to the next lift. Armin looked back down at Optimus. "Stay alive," Armin yelled. Optimus nodded his head in understanding before Armin ran off. Optimus then looked over at the sight before him. This whole place was hell, all because of these creatures. These creatures were the reason for the loss of many innocent lives. Optimus shook his head as he activated his blades. He needed to get rid of as much of the threat as much as he could. The 8 soldiers were lowered down to the other side of Wall Rose. They all widened their eyes in shock to see the commander and other soldiers surrounding that area. "All of you are to leave Eren Yeager here," the commander ordered while having a terrified look on his face. "If you ever speak of these events you will all be charged for treason against the king." Bertholdt looked over at Reiner before they walked away. Annie brushed her hair to the side of her face before she followed the suite as well. Jean was a tad bit hesitant but followed the three. He looked back at Armin and Mikasa, who didn't even move. "Just go without us," Armin said. Jean hesitated again but walked away from the three. The commander looked back at Armin and Mikasa as Mikasa drew her blades. "For not the following order. You have been charged with treason, and the punishment is death," the commander declared. "And then we managed to refuel and escape from Trost," Connie finished explaining to Ymir and Krista. "So that's what happened," Krista sighed. "I'm sorry. I requested supply deliveries for you multiple times. We'd even gotten our hands on the gas and all," Ymir added. "So that means, the people who aren't here," Krista trailed off. Connie hung his head. "Yeah? Even that Mikasa?" Ymir asked. "No," Connie answered. "I thought Mikasa'd come here later with Jean and the others." As if on cue, Jean came walking by with an exhausted look on his face while holding a pouch filled with water. Reiner, Bertholdt, and Annie were right behind him. Jean collapsed on a seat as he drank the water in the pouch. "Jean," Ymir called out. "Don't tell me Mikasa got hurt." Jean just glared at them as he drank more water. "Jean, what's wrong?" Connie asked. "They gave us a gag order," Jean explained. "We can't tell you." "A gag order?" Connie asked. "So you can't talk about that Prime guy?" Ymir looked at Connie with a confused look. Prime guy. Not that, Jean answered. It's something else we can't speak about. And besides, I'm pretty sure that the information about him spread around. Hey, what are you two talking about? Ymir demanded. I don't remember someone being called Prime. Connie looked over at Ymir and Krista. It's hard to explain, but there's this titan that looked like it was completely made out of metal. It could transform its hand into weapons, and it had very advanced skills of fighting. Krista looked at Connie in shock while Ymir began to laugh mockingly. A titan with that kind of ability? Ymir questioned with a smirk on her face, like that's even He's not lying. Jean cut Ymir off, causing her to look over at him in disbelief. Did you guys hit your heads or something? Ymir asked. Ymir, this isn't some kind of joke, Jean yelled. Honestly, if it weren't for him, more soldiers would have died. Krista looked at Jean in confusion. Him? Yeah, Connie answered. It's a guy, mainly because of the way he speaks. It spoke, Krista asked in shock. Jean nodded his head. He knew our language, and Connie was right when he said he had a lot of experience fighting. The way he fought those titans looked like he did it his whole life. Either way, the garrison can't keep him quiet. He's already fighting the titans on the other side of the wall. Humanity will know about both of them, assuming humanity survives that long. Ren was confused. No, he wasn't confused. That would be an understatement. He was doing backflips in his head. The last thing he remembered was being eaten by a titan, but he honestly thought that was a dream. But when he woke up, there were soldiers pointing weapons at him. No, at them. Mikasa had her weapons ready to go so she could fight, and Armin was sitting next to him. They all looked at him like he was some sort of monster. Hell, even the commander was asking if he was a human or a titan, because they were all saying that he emerged from a titan. That just sounded ridiculous, but no one was denying that fact. Not even Mikasa or Armin. Was it really true? And were they talking about the armored titan that was fighting the titans in Trost? What the fuck was going on? I will not ask you again. The commander yelled. What are you? Ren began to panic. Armin and Mikasa looked back at him, waiting for an answer like everyone else. He couldn't screw up with his answer. If he did, then they would die along with him. He couldn't let that happen. They were all that he had left. I'm human, Ren answered. Optimus sliced off the head of the last titan that he was battling before he crushed the nape of the neck with his foot. He looked over to see more titans coming from the breach in the wall. Optimus gritted his denta. There was too many. No matter how many he killed, more and more just came in. This was just getting too frustrating. There had to be a way to plug up that hole. Suddenly, Optimus heard cannon fire and turned around to see a streak of golden lighting come down from the sky. Optimus widened his optics as he remembered seeing that same streak of lighting come down earlier when he was looking around this world. When he came to the spot where he saw the lighting, there was a hole in the wall. Has that lighting strike created another hole? Optimus thought. Optimus immediately transformed into his vehicle mode and drove towards the area where the lighting hit. He was on the other side of this town, so it took him a while. When he reached the area, he screeched to a stop and transformed into his bipedal mode. He was going to jail for Armin and the others, but the others humans were already scared of him as it was. He couldn't make the matters worse. He could already hear panicking on the other side of the wall from whatever that was. But it didn't make sense. Those two lightning strikes, they had to be somehow connected. There was no way it was a coincidence. He suddenly heard a loud, clanging noise and someone yelling to stop. You finally showed your true colors, monsters, someone yelled. I'll signal the cannons. He isn't the enemy of mankind, another person yelled, who Optimus concluded was Armin. We're willing to share all the intelligence we've gathered so far. Optimus was confused. Who were they talking about? Optimus hasn't stepped over the wall. He then widened his optics. They were talking about that boy, Ren. He must have been the cause of that lightning strike. Begging for your lives is useless now, the first person from before yelled. He revealed his true form right in front of us. There's nothing left to say. That armored titan is out there and easily break the wall. If you say he's not an enemy, prove it. If you can't do that, I'll eliminate the threat. Both threats? Why is everyone comparing me to this armored titan? Optimus thought. There's no need for proof, Armin retorted. Besides, how we see either of them is not an issue. What? The man demanded. I've heard many have seen both of them in action. If that's true, then they must have seen them fighting the Titans, Armin explained, and that also includes the sight of the surrounding Titans swarming him. Also, if the armored Titan were here, it would have busted through the wall by now. The Titan is currently fighting and killing off the Titans that are entering the city. He's even saved more of our comrades. No matter how we go about it, the facts can't be denied. Optimus then heard muttering that he couldn't make out, but it seemed like they were beginning to calm down. Until, prepare to attack, the man Optimus concluded was the commander. Don't be fooled by his clever tricks. Their actions have always been beyond our comprehension. It must be possible for them to imitate our form and speech to delude us. And even though that armored titan is fighting the other titans, who knows what will happen after that? We cannot allow them to do as they please any longer. Optimus was getting worried. He could sense the fear in the commander's voice, but if Armin didn't convince them, they could all be killed. Optimus was about to put a distraction, but he heard Armin beginning to yell. I am a soldier that has long since offered his life for the revival of mankind, Armin yelled. To perish while obeying that conviction would be my life's greatest glory. If we were to utilize both of the Titans' powers and add it to our remaining forces, recapturing this town would no longer be impossible. Praying for the glory of mankind. I will elaborate on both of their strategic worth with all the time I have left. There was silence for a moment before he heard the commander yell. Shut up! Optimus transformed his servo into a gun and pointed it to the sky. The commander was getting ready to fire. He needed to create a distraction. As he was getting ready to fire, he picked up someone telling him to stop. As big as you are, you've always been as delicate as a newborn fawn, the newcomer said. Optimus stopped charging his gun and listened. Do you not see his splendid salute? The newcomer asked. I have just arrived, but the messenger kept me abreast of the situation. You go command the reinforcements. I think we should listen to them. Optimus slightly sighed with relief. They were going to be fine for now. He ran away from the wall and continued to eliminate the threat. Commander Pixis walked casually along wall rows while drinking from his small container. Behind him were cadets Mikasa Ackerman, Armin Arlert, and Eren Yeager. When he came to Trost, he was informed about the situation, and honestly, he was surprised. It seemed that Cadet Eren Yeager emerged from a Titan's body, but not before killing 20 regular Titans in the process. Also, the armored Titan fighting against other Titans. This situation was definitely interesting. He looked down to see the Titans trying to climb the wall. No luck, huh? I wouldn't mind being eaten by a beautiful Titan woman. He looked over at the 3 cadets, who had pretty uneasy looks. Would you mind explaining to me what is going on? Armin and Eren took turns explaining to him the full story of what was going on and what Eren saw before he transformed into a Titan to stop a cannon. I see, he began. So you believe that basement holds all the answers you seek? Yes, Eren answered. Will you believe me, sir, since even you yourself can't say for sure? Let's just say I'll keep it in mind for now, Pixis answered. However, you can prove your true intentions by your actions right now. I'll guarantee your safety. Pixis noticed the 3 relaxing with relief. He looked over at the blonde child who he believed was Armin Arlert. Cadet Arlert, was it? He asked. Yes, sir, Armin saluted. Earlier, you said by using both of the Titans' powers, we might be able to retake the city, Pixis recalled. Do you really believe that? Or were you just desperate to save your life? It was both, sir, Armin answered. I was trying to say that Eren could use his Titan form, carry the boulder to the wall, and use it to seal the breach. And Aren wasn't able to. I was thinking that Optimus would be able to take on the task. Pixis looked at Armin with slight curiosity. Optimus. Is he a Titan shifter as well? Armin shook his head. He is the one everyone is referring to as the Armored Titan. However, he is not. I have seen the Armored Titan before, and he is not it. He is probably even stronger than that, and has advanced combat skills. He even saved more of our comrades. Pixis slightly chuckled. This is very impressive, however it is hard to believe. Could you point out where he is? A battle cry was heard from below the wall, followed by a shifting noise. Pixis looked down the wall to see Titans' heads being cut off, while some of the 3 to 4 meter class Titans were being kicked away from the wall. The headless Titans were slowly regenerating, but the nape of the necks were sliced off quickly. Pixis looked in surprise and amazement as the 3 cadets walked over to see what was going on. It's hard not to miss something like that, Armin remarked. So you must be the Titan everyone is talking about, Pixis called out. The Titan looked up at Pixis with a calm expression. You've made quite the impression on humanity, Pixis continued, although they do mistaken you for the Armored Titan. I am not this Armored Titan of which your kind speaks of, the Titan explained. My body parts are entirely made out of metal. Aren looked like he was going to fall over Walrose. He looked over at Armin with a calm expression, like this wasn't anything new to him. He then looked over at Mikasa, who was more cautious than shocked.